If you have VMware ESXi servers, you better patch them now. Hey everybody, this is Tom with Tom's Tech Show, and I'm wearing my Walter shirt, and it says down here, has told me to shut the hell up. So Walter is one of my favorites. We did go see Jeff Dunham a little bit ago. It's always hilarious, always funny. He's just such a great entertainer and always up to date with his jokes. I saw a video that he writes more jokes and more things into his show as he's traveling to the next show. So the show that we got might not be the same as the next show because certain jokes may be pulled out and other jokes may be in there, or some current event may have happened, which would make the whole thing even funnier what he's doing. So just an amazing show. Free ad there for you. Okay, so if you have a VMware ESXi server and it is directly to the internet, you're gonna have problems, and you haven't patched it, you're gonna really have problems. So recently there was a known exploit from back in 2021. People were in 23, and you need to keep up on the patching. I mean, even if it's hard, right, to do, you really need to keep up on that. So the attack, dubbed EXI ARGS, is still being analyzed by cybersecurity community. I did go over and watch a video on Security Now, which also did a video on this. But says, so malicious actor residing in the same network segment. So if somehow somebody gets into your network and then does a scan and sees, oh, you've got EXI servers here, and they're not patched, then you are in trouble. So what this is, it's looking for port 427, which is this OpenSLP system. So OpenSLP is a service location protocol. That's SLP part of it. Just a standard track protocol that provides a framework allowing network applications to discover the existence, location, configuration of network services in enterprise networks. I mean, this is kind of a similar thing. I mean, Apple has this thing called Bonjour, which allows devices on your network, like your Apple device can easily find a printer, things like that. And also way back when Microsoft had NetBIOS, which would kind of do the same thing way back when over IPX and now over TCP/IP, but they've pretty much abandoned that for just straight TCP/IP and DNS and things like that. So this allows, there's a memory overflow vulnerability that allows hackers to get in and get root access to your ESXi servers. Then they take over your server, and then it shows you a screen if you want. It's a ransomware attack. So if you want your data back, basically, they say that you got to pay them so many Bitcoin, which I think ended up being around $50,000 that they wanted per. Here, this article says there's 810 servers currently known to be compromised, but in the Security Now notes here, they say there's over 3,200 in one weekend. So that is crazy rampant, and just shows how some of these people have not updated their ESXi hosts, which if you have your environment configured correctly to be either high availability, or you have a cluster, you have several in a cluster, you can vMotion all of your systems over to one host, update, and then reboot the host, and then move everything back. That's what I do pretty much on a regular basis. Whenever there's 4 or 5 patches that are needed, it's like, okay, we'll just take this and we'll do it and get it done, especially if there's some that are very critical. So always patch and do those. So now the newer versions of ESXi that get installed come with this service turned off, and that's the biggest problem here. Is the older servers came with this service on by default. So we really don't want that. We want to do best practice, provide the minimum attack surface, right, that's possible. So any services or anything that you're not using. I mean, I have a video that has a script that you can run on a Windows server that goes and turns everything possible, off that, you probably don't need, and that's like my initial hardening is just to go and run that script, kill every service that I can just to barely keep the server, alive. And then if a service is needed, then we go back in, turn that service on, make sure the firewall is locked down from, port to port and IP to IP, what it needs to have, who needs to have communication with that. So this is kind of the same thing, best practices whenever you set up a server, go, even if it's ESXi, let's go through, let's kill every service that we don't need. Also, my other question, one of the things was that there was a service provider, some of these were in Europe, a service provider in Europe has these servers on the internet, and they're leaving that port open to the internet so that people, you don't need that on the internet, right? Even managing, the services, if you're getting into the ESXi or like a virtual center that manages all the, servers in your cluster and all that, even if you're getting into that, it's very simple to throw up a VPN, right? Get an open VPN, get something that, we have Meraki's and things like that you can throw up there that allow people to VPN into the host in order to manage it, rather than leaving any of these things open to the internet. That's blatant bad practice. That's, if my servers were on this host and my servers, we're understanding that, because now all these people are locked out if they don't have their, a good offsite backup. If I were using them and this happened, I would immediately leave and go somewhere else. Well, here's the other part, is doing, like ISO certification. One of the things you have to do is a vendor compliance, right? You have to go through all of your vendors. You have to run through what are their vulnerabilities, what are the things, have they done any of these things, to maintain, the lowest level of surface attack area, all these things. They have to go through all that, and you have to prove it to each other in, you verifying, each other as a vendor. So people who are going to this one company in Europe that was putting all these things online, I don't think they would never have passed that kind of a certification. So if you've got, so either make sure you're upgraded to, close to the latest. Sometimes I don't go to 8. I think they're on 7. I think they just released 8. Sometimes the, backup things, like we use Veeam for backup. Sometimes Veeam is a little bit behind in being able to communicate and connect with the latest versions. So I always wait a little bit, still maintain patching, wait a little bit, and then get to the latest version that you can, that's compatible with all of your other services in your environment. That way, the newer versions of ESX, I have all these, some of these services like this turned off by default, just showing that you don't need them. It's like you pay that for ESXi, and all they're doing is repatching this free open source software and having you pay for it, right? That's always the big thing about ESXi. Some of these systems, virtualized and other things, are they just repackaging open source software and giving it to you, kind of thing. But anyway, make sure you're patched, get up to date on that, and shut your firewalls down so that nothing can get in there and attack. And make sure, if you are kind of remotely managing, or you have a place where you are remotely managing these things, make sure it's done through a VPN so that things can be secure, locked down, nothing open to the wide internet. All right, there you go. Thanks for watching. Take care.